Let's start our session, team. Okay. So basically, to connect our Java application with database, we are having multiple ways. In the initial days, we used to work with JDBC. Later, we used to work with Hibernate. Okay, and we can work with Spring JDBC. We can work with Spring. Multiple ways we have. Spring JDBC is there. Spring Boot JDBC is there. Spring Boot JDBC is also there, and we have Spring Boot Spring Boot Data JPA. All these things we are having. Okay. Let me tell you one thing. Whatever you are using, either you are working with JDBC or Hibernate or Spring JDBC or Spring Boot Data JDBC, whatever it may be, the only thing what you need to remember is if you want to connect your Java application with database, note, if you want to connect, Java application with database, we need to define what we need. We need driver name, URL, username, and password. Exactly. Okay. We need driver name, URL, username, password. These things we need to define. Okay. So here I am going to show you. Here I am going to show you what is the driver name, what is the URL, username, and password, and step by step I'll show you all the ways. Okay. Of course, nowadays we are working with Spring Boot Data JPA. Still, we need to discuss all the ways. Okay. Now, what is the driver name? com.mysql com.mysql.jdbc.driver URL is
Recording in progress.
JDBC column MySQL column / localhost column 3306 / MadhuDB. Okay, and username for MySQL. Here I'm working with MySQL database. So MySQL specific properties I'm showing you here. Okay, username is root, and when I'm installing my password, I have not given any password. If you are installing your MySQL database, if you have given any password, you need to define that. So either you are using JDBC or you are working with Hibernate or you are connect your application with database, it is mandatory to use all these properties. Okay, it is mandatory to use all these properties. Fine. Now I will start with JDBC. I will show you how we are going to connect our Java application with database. On top of it, I'll show you what are the steps we are having, what are the problems we are having in JDBC, and then we'll go for other things. Okay. Now, yeah. So to communicate our Java application with database, JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity. To communicate our Java application with database, we need one driver. Driver acts as a mediator between Java and database. Okay. So basically, we have four types of drivers. We have four types of drivers. We have four types of drivers. Type 1 driver, JDBC, ODBC bridge driver. Totally, we are having four types of drivers: JDBC, ODBC bridge driver, type 2 driver, native API driver, type 3 driver, net protocol driver, net protocol driver, type 4 driver, that is pure Java driver. Okay. Even though we are having four types of drivers, we are going to work with only type 4 driver, that is pure Java driver. The reason is type 1 driver is developed by using C language, that is the problem. Native API driver, C++, it is developed by using Java only, but it is protocol dependent. It is protocol dependent protocol. That is the reason we are going to work with type 4 driver, that is only pure Java driver. We are going to work only with type 4 driver, that is pure Java driver. Now I am going to explain you what are the steps to connect our Java application with database. Steps to connect Java application with database. So what are the steps we are having? Step 1, load the driver. Step 2, create connection. Step 3, create statement object. Step 4, execute the queries. Step 5, close the connection. Totally we are having these 5 steps. Okay. Now take all these points. I'll show you how we are going to work in real time. Okay. Take these points now. Let me know once you're done. Just ping me on chat box. Take these points now. It is not a slide, right? Just I ask you to take these points. If you are able to take these points, right, then I'll show you with an example how you are going to work. Just I have given 2 to 3 minutes time to write these points. Is it done? Can we go with an example now? Take these steps to connect our Java application with database. I'll show you with an example. Fine, let's go with an example. Just a second. Let me open Eclipse. Actually, I have given 2 to 3 minutes time to write the points. Now, I will show you how to create a table and insert the data. Remaining things you need to work basically. Okay? So please listen very carefully. Let me explain how we are going to create a table and how we are going to insert the data. Before that, I am going to use WAMP server for the purpose of connecting with MySQL database. You can install directly MySQL database or you can use WAMP server. Why I am using WAMP server, you don't know. WAMP stands for W stands for Windows, A stands for Apache Tomcat, M stands for MySQL, P stands for PHP. P stands for PHP. Okay. Now let me start this WAMP server. Click on yes. Here, this is whatever MySQL console. I have not given any password, right? Directly it will open. Use MadhuDB. Show tables. Okay, only we have these tables, right? Now I want to create a table called student through JDBC. Through JDBC, I want to create a table. Okay, how we are going to create now? I will be showing you. See here. I am going to create a separate project, file, new. Listen very carefully. I will show you how we are going to create a table and how we are going to insert the data. Remaining things you need to work. Okay, I mean how we are going to update the data, how we are going to delete the data. These things you need to work. Okay. Right click, new, Java project. JDBC project. JDBC project. Click on finish. I am going to create a separate package com.madhu.jdbc. Right click on src, new package com.madhu.jdbc. Now right click on your package, new class called create table. New class called create table. Now what is the first step? We need to load the driver, right? What is the first? Let me create a main method. Control space. Let me create. See here. What is the first step? We need to load the driver. How we are going to load the driver? By using class.forName. Class.forName of com.mysql.jdbc.driver. Okay. Add throws declaration. I'll tell you why it is throwing class not found exception. Connection con is it? Just a second. Just a second. Connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection of URL username and password. See, connection is an interface. You are not able to hear me? Can someone respond? Are you able to hear me? Yeah, current process, can you please rejoin? Yeah, thank you. Fine. Here, connection is an interface. If you want to work with connection, we need to take the help of get connection method of driver manager. Here, let me give the driver name, URL, username, and password. JDBC column, MySQL column /localhost column 3306/MadhuDB. Username is root and there is no pass. Okay. Why? Because I will tell you what is the difference between class not found exception and SQL exception. See here, class not found exception means whenever we are connecting with database specific jar file we need to add to our application. If you don't add the jar file, it will throw class not found exception. Second thing is SQL exception. For example, you are trying to read the data from database. The date in that particular table is not available. It will throw an SQL exception. For example, you are trying to read the data from doctor. Doctor table is not available. It will throw an exception. Table does not exist. Third one is statement object. It is used to execute the queries. Statement stmt is equal to con dot create statement. Okay, here we need to write the query. String SQL is equal to create table student of id space int namespace varchar of 30 address space varchar of 30. Like this we are going to work. Okay, stmt dot execute update of SQL con dot close. Table created successfully. See here, when I run this program, you will be getting a class not found exception. Table created successfully. Created successfully. Save it. When I run this code, what we are getting? Class not found exception. Class not found exception. The reason is whenever we are connecting with database specific jar file we need to add to our application. Database specific jar file. I am working with MySQL database. So MySQL specific jar file we need to add to our application. Are you getting my point, team? We need to add MySQL specific jar file to our application. Now, see here how we are going to work. Right click on your project, build path, configure build path, libraries, add external jars. Let me check. I'll be having the jar files. Just you can go to Google and download the jar file. For now, I'm going to add the jar file from my system. MySQL specific jar file we have added. Okay, if you don't add the jar file, you will be getting class not found exception. Now let me run the code once again. Still, what is the issue? Unknown database MadhuD. Sorry, my database name is MadhuDB. That is the reason we are getting this issue. Let me change the database name. Okay, in my database, I have a database called MadhuDB. Let me run this code successfully. It is going to be executed. Okay, now see here, show tables. Student table got created. STUDNT. Select star from. Okay, as of now there is no data. Why? Because we have not inserted. For example, if you want to insert the data, here itself we can insert just, but I'm showing you in the same example But while you are practicing, please create a separate class. String SQL is equal to insert into student values of 121. Name is Madhu and address is Hyderabad. Okay. I have given the data here inserted successfully. If I run this code, successfully it is going to be inserted. Okay. Similarly, you need to perform update, delete, and retrieve operations. First, take this code, and I'll be giving 5 minutes time. You need to work on other things. 5 to 10 minutes time I'll be giving. Can someone share the code in chat box? How we are going to update it, delete it, and retrieve it? On top of it, I'll show you the problems of working with JDBC. Multiple things I want to discuss today. Can you repeat how to add the jar file? Sure. Let me explain you how we are going to add. Right click on your project, build path, configure build path, libraries, add external jars. So you will be keeping somewhere your jar file, right? Select the jar file. Okay, MySQL connector jar file. You can download it from Google. MySQL connector download. Select it. Click on open. Click on apply and close. Clear, right? Yeah, sure. Once again, shall I explain? I'll go a bit slowly. I'm sorry. Right click on your project, build path, configure build path. Okay, now here you need to select libraries, add external jars. Wherever you are having the jar file, that jar file you need to select, click on open, click on finish. Basically, whenever you are downloading, right, you are going to download a zip file, you need to extract it, you need to unzip it, and you need to add the specific jar file instead of adding the folder. Okay, now? Yeah. Start working on it. If you are facing any issues, just ping on chat box. Yeah. Thank you. Start working on it, team. Done. Any issues you are facing, team? No, basically I have given time to write these things, right? Yeah, again, you're asking like not audible. Yes, I have given 5 to 10 minutes. Now I would like to continue. So no one has worked. Fine. So for example, if you want to update it, you need to write the update query here. You need to write the update query. How we are going to update it? String SQL is equal to so basically, what I'm saying here is it should not be a one-way communication team. It should be a two-way communication. You need to work on some coding part. Okay. So it is not like 100% session, right? So it should be a two-way communication. Please try to understand that. Update student set name is equal to Shiva. Address is equal to Mumbai. Okay. Where ID is equal to what is the ID? 121. Okay, like this we need to write. Updated successfully. Run it. Okay. Now check in database. Sorry. So here it is updated from Mother to Shiva, Hyderabad to Mumbai. Like this we need to update it. Exactly. Madam Jyoti Garu, you did a good job. Yeah, like this I'm expecting from everyone team. Okay, let's have a two-way communication instead of having one-way communication. The same thing I'm expecting. Now, can you write someone how to delete the code from database? Can you please tell me where can use statement object and where we need to use prepare statement? See, if you want to insert the data statically, we need to use statement object. If you want to insert the data dynamically means through UI, if you want to pass some data, whenever we are working with select with database or JSP with database, there you need to use prepare statement. Okay. So if you want, I can discuss about prepare statement through servlet concept. But here I want to discuss which is important and what are the latest technologies we are using. That is the reason we are not going to discuss anything related to servlet and JSP. Okay. But if you want us, I'll share some code how we are going to work with prepare statement. Whenever we are trying to insert the data dynamically, okay, dynamically means through UI if you are trying to insert some data. Okay, statically means here itself we are passing the values, right? That is nothing but static data. Now, can someone write how we are going to delete the record by using JDBC? Can you share the code in chat box in 2 minutes? I'll show you how to retrieve the data from database. How to retrieve the data from database now. few people have shared delete. Delete from employee where ID is equal to deleted. Perfect. And can anyone write the code for retrieving the data from database? Anyone is having idea? No. Yeah, we know that we are going to use select query to read the data, but by using JDBC, what we are going to use? That is what my question. Have you heard about result set? Exactly. Now I'll show you how to retrieve the data from database by using result set. Let me take, see what I'm going to do. Retrieve data. Listen carefully. Retrieve data. Let me create a main method. Let me handle the exceptions. Now, if you want to read the data from database, we need to use a predefined interface called result set. Exactly. Result set, and you need to take everything from java.sql package. You need to take everything from java.sql package. Okay, see here now how we are going to work. See here, result set rs is equal to stmt dot execute query of. See, basically, if you want to work with result set interface, we need to take the help of execute query method of statement object and select. Is this the table name? Student. Yeah. Okay. If you want to read a particular record, select star from student where ID is equal to something. Okay. Based on the ID, we can read the records. Okay. Now we don't know how many records we are having. While of rs dot next read each record, rs dot get string of 1, get string of 2. Like this, we need to read the data. Finally, print the statement. Retrieved successfully. This is all about database, JDBC. Okay, if I run this code successfully, we can read the data, whatever the records we are having. Now, if you can work on this for 5 minutes, I'll show you, or else I'll be giving you 5 minutes time. Can you tell me what are the problems we are having in JDBC? Did you observe? Is there any alternate way other than get string? Yes, we have. Based on column also we can take. Okay, based on the data type we can use rs dot get int, get string, get float. According to the requirement, we can use those things also. Okay, multiple ways we have, not one way. Getting my point? To work with a specific functionality, you may be having multiple ways. I may be using one way. We can use some other way also. Okay, fine. So please take this code and I'm going to discuss, or else we will discuss. Yes, whenever we are reading all the fields, right, definitely we need to use this way only. Whatever I have given for calling each and every column, we need to follow this approach only. Yes, here all the fields I have given, right? Whatever the fields you need from database, all the fields you need to take like this only. Okay, fine. Now take this code. I'll be giving 5 minutes time. Then we will discuss about the problems of working with JDBC. Worked on it. Any issues you are facing? Yeah, can you try that? Prasanna, can you try that? Fine. So now let's discuss about the problems of working with JDBC. Can anyone tell me, did you observe any problems work with JDBC? Anyone? Stack Overflow, authentication, slow, anything else? See, if you're getting this issue means class not found exception means simple thing you need to add the jar file. If you don't add the MySQL connector jar file, you will be getting a class not found exception. So what are the problems to work with JDBC? Anyone? Why are jar files necessary? Basically, whenever we are connecting with database, uh, for every database, we'll be having we call it as a library. Okay, in order to get support from that particular database, we need to add the library. That library we are calling it as a jar file. Let me tell you some problems so that you'll have some better idea. Okay. Limitations of JDBC. You'll get to know every time it has to connect the database and it compiles the query in database. It is not platform specific. It is platform independent only. I'll tell you some problems. On top of it, any specific identification for specific driver. Yes, the steps are different. That is the reason we are going to work with Try4 driver. That is pure Java driver only. Limitations of JDBC. First thing, lot of boilerplate code. Second thing, boilerplate code means more code we need to write. Second problem is it completely depends on SQL. It is SQL dependent. And one more biggest problem is JDBC does not support inheritance and relationships. This is also one of the biggest problem. And one more biggest problem is whenever we are working with JDBC, if you are developing an application, in the middle of application development, if the client asks to change the database, it is very difficult. It is very difficult. Just a second. Okay. Now the next point is it is if we are using the jar files, will we run out of memory at some point? Basically, going forward, we are not going to add the jar file. We are going to use the dependency tool called Maven. There we are in pom.xml file. We are going to add the dependencies. In the initial days of application development, we used to work like this. We are going to add the jar file, but nowadays we are not adding the jar files. Nowadays we are not adding the jar files. Okay. And the one more problem is I'll tell you very important problems. It is very difficult to change the database in the middle of application development. It is very difficult to change the database in the middle of application development. And one more biggest problem is if you want to insert some data, we need to create a table manually. Then only we can insert the data. That is also one of the biggest problem to work with JDBC. Okay. If we want to insert the data, we need to create a table manually in database. These are the problems we are having in JDBC. To overcome the problems of JDBC, we go for Hibernate framework, less code, less code. Hibernate has having their own query language called is HQL, SQL, independent. We don't need to use SQL queries. Hibernate supports inheritance and relationships. Hibernate supports inheritance and relationships. It is very easy to change the database in the middle of application development. It is very easy. It is very easy. Why? Because we will be having a configuration file there we are going to define. it is very easy to change the database in the middle of application development. Okay. And one more biggest advantage of working with Hibernate is when we are trying to insert the data, if the table is available, data will be inserted. If the table is not available, Hibernate itself creates a table and insert the data. We no need to create a table manually in database when we are working with Hibernate framework. When we are working with Hibernate framework. Why? Because if you are trying to insert the data, if very important point, if you are trying to insert the data, if the table is not available, if the table is not available, Hibernate itself, Hibernate itself creates a table and insert the data. Okay, that is what the advantage of working with Hibernate. Now, can you take these points? If you want, now I'll show you with an example how we are going to work with Hibernate. How many ways are there? All these things I'll be showing you now. Sir, we need only to specify the database field names and yes, we need to specify all these things. Why? Because we will be having a mapping file. In that mapping file, we are going to define all these things. Very easy when we are working. So process is a bit lengthy, but for enterprise applications, for business related applications, this will help a lot. Okay. Yes. Please, Harita. Please ask your question. That is what the advantage. Automatically creates a table means automatically columns also will be created. Automatically its data type also we are going to get. N number of advantages we are having in Hibernate. Nowadays we are not working with JDBC in real time. This is for everyone. Can you give more limitations? These are the major limitations. JDBC is not having inheritance and relationships. Hibernate is having inheritance and relationships. We want to depend on SQL to connect with database. Hibernate is having own query language called HQL, Hibernate query language. Yeah, what is your doubt? It can, yes, it can. Yeah, so we will be having a Hibernate configuration file. In that configuration file, whatever the database properties you are going to provide, with the database, it is going to connect. That is what the advantage of working with Hibernate. Every time you want to define the properties. Every time We no need to define the, like, for example, either for inserting or updating or deleting. Every time we no need to write these things. Every time we no need to load the driver. Every time we no need to create the connection object. Every time we no need to create statement object. All these things we no need to perform. This is what the advantage of working with Hibernate. Completed? I asked you to take the notes. If you are good, now I'll explain you how many ways are there to connect with database using Hibernate and what are the steps I'll show you now. You have taken the notes, right? Can I continue now? Steps to connect. No, not steps. How many ways? Ways to connect Java application with database using Hibernate. Two ways basically. One is using XML approach. Second one is using annotation approach. Using annotations approach. Take these points. Now I'll tell you how we are going to work with the XML approach. Take these points. First, we will discuss about the XML approach, then we'll go for annotation. So we are having two approaches. Can you show very first slide? Any slides? We don't have any slides, right? You mean these things you're asking? This is the starting one. Okay. First I have discussed the JDBC. Then I discussed about the problems of working with JDBC. Now we are discussing about the concept of working with Hibernate. We are having two approaches. The first is XML approach. Second one is annotation based approach. Okay, now let us start with the steps to connect our Java application with database using Hibernate. In brackets, XML approach. Steps to connect Java application with the database using Hibernate using XML approach. First, I'll start with XML approach. Once if you are good, then we can go for annotation based approach. Step 1, create a Pojo class. Step 2, create a mapping file. Mapping file means whatever Pojo class means, it's a combination of private variables and public methods. It is a combination of private variables and public methods. Okay. Next, create a mapping file. Step 3, create a configuration file. Step 4, create test.java. Mapping file contains Pojo class and its properties. Configuration file contains database and Hibernate properties. Database properties means what? Driver name, URL, username, and password. Okay. Hibernate properties means we have like how automatically creates a table, show underscore SQL. All these things I'll be showing you in tomorrow's session clearly. Take these steps. One important thing, team, I'm sharing the link in chat box. Everybody, please share your reviews in Google. I'm sharing the link. Just open the link and please give your reviews. Okay. So please don't miss it. I have given the link in chat box. Can you open the link and can you provide the review? And yeah, please take the link from chat box. Fine. Any questions, team? See here, if you want, I'll show you by sharing my screen. Just a second. It is working, right? Just now I clicked on the link. When I click on this link, or else once again, let me share the link. No, see here. When you click on this link, it will not go for Brenovision. Right side, if you see here, you will be having reviews. Here, if you click on write a review, you can click on this link and you can provide your review and you can click on post. Okay. So you can write your review and you can click on post like this. Fine. Thank you. Everybody, can you please post your reviews? What are the prerequisites like? What are the things that we have to download before attending tomorrow's session? Just download MySQL database, or else you can download WAMP server. If you want any link, I'll be providing those things also with you. Only you need MySQL database and download MySQL connector jar file to connect with database. That is the only prerequisite. And we are going to work with Eclipse IDE only. Okay, what I will do is, which link you want, Arvind? MySQL database link. Huh? Yeah, I'll share the feedback link as well. Just a second. Let me share the Java software in that you will be having WAMP server. That one you can download and install and you can work with it. I am sharing the Java softwares. If anyone is not having any software, just keep it with you. That will help you a lot. Okay, na? In the meanwhile, others, can you share your reviews? Yeah, I'm sharing the softwares as well. Please take the link, ma'am. Why we use WAMP server if Eclipse is having Tomcat? Ma, Eclipse is having Tomcat. WAMP server is for the purpose of working with MySQL database. Eclipse is not having Apache Tomcat server. Ma. We need to add the Apache Tomcat server to Eclipse to develop a web application. When we are working with Spring Boot, at that time we will be having inbuilt server called Tomcat. Anyway, those things we will discuss in the upcoming sessions. Okay. WAMP means W stands for Windows, A stands for Apache Tomcat, M stands for MySQL, P stands for PHP. For the purpose of working with MySQL database, I am working with WAMP server. If you want, directly you can download MySQL also. Fine. Let me know once what we should download. You don't download anything. Just come to the session. Everything I'll be taking care. Okay. Only come with MySQL database. Okay. Fine. Everybody, please provide your reviews. And if you have any questions, let's connect tomorrow. Thanks everyone. Have a nice day. Thank you all. Mm.
Recording in progress.